In the world of superhero movies, there is a lot that's going on, especially in the realm of superherodoms, especially even nowadays, where it feels like superhero movies just continue to get better, with Miles Morales' new movie coming out next month, and several more superhero movies are on the rise from DC and Marvel both respectively. It really does seem like the superhero movie community is growing larger and larger and becoming even stronger. And one superhero movie or superhero movies that surprised me back in the day, especially in 2016, was Ant Man. And then later in 2018 with the sequel, Ant Man and Wasp. So Ant Man had been on a decline for about 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, by this point. So it really does feel like Ant Man has been pretty much missing in a point to where he had been gone for a couple of years before making his major big resurgence into the role. He had his major roles in both, stuff like Avengers Civil War, or Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, and also Avengers Endgame. But we haven't touched upon the Incredible Ant-Man until this movie has came out. Hello and welcome to a movie review. I'm Lee's Universe, and it's time that we're going to review the only film known only as. Greetings, geeks and nerds, I'm Lee's Universe, and I'm White and Nerdy, and welcome to Lee's Universe movie review. I know, it's been an awful long time since I've done one of these, but I'm sorry because there's not too many movies that are actually out on DVD yet that I really do want to review. And also, yes, I did get an Ant-Man and Wasp shirt. This is Look Out for the Little Guy, based on the book that is written in the movie that Scott Lane had written after he had disappeared, been on hiatus, so to speak. So, I have actually been expecting Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania to come out. I know that was a mouthful, and I had to get my breath there. But Ant-Man and Wasp had been on sort of a hiatus. They haven't been seen, like I said, since Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, two Avengers movies that I haven't seen at some point. I'm just gonna have to do like an Avengers marathon on this channel and just review every single Avengers movie, not Captain America Civil War. I refuse to do another review. No. Ugh. But I have caught some Avengers movie. I wasn't a big fan of the first one. Yes, I've seen the first one. I've tried to catch some of the other ones, but sometimes you just get so busy and it's just a hiatus, and you can't see much of the thing that you want to see. But thank luckily, Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania has came out on DVD. I had to do this through a pre-order in order to get it, and unfortunately, the film does have its good moments. It is still a good movie in my opinion, but I can see why a lot of movie critics, especially here on YouTube, just outright do not like Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania, and I can understand that because there are some things that I don't like about Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania anyways. And, the film does have a pretty good, I would say, opening in how it shows Scott Lang trying to come back into the world, especially after he was gone for so many years, especially trying to fight, Thanos after that god level threat. I mean, what is left for Scott Lang? I mean, I guess you could say that Scott Lang is trying to get a reality check back into him. He's trying to reconnect his life back together. He's trying to get everything back into shape of where he had been, but it's not going so well for the poor guy. The guy's an ex-Avenger, but unfortunately he doesn't have too many high games and high hopes of Into the World, especially he's just going off of the book that he had written, Look Out for the Small Guy. His daughter Cassie unfortunately got into the same business as her father had before her. Trying to keep her away from being the wife of a criminal, Cassie trains to turn for the worse, and especially for the worse in this case. And by accident or by design, they are forced into the quantum verse where they are after introduced to a bunch of the quantum alien or people that live there, and unfortunately then they are met with the entire threat of the movie and the entire threat beyond the quantum bird, Kane the Conqueror, who wants to destroy the quantum birds and escape it in order to destroy the entire world and the multiverse. But it's gonna take a lot of heart and a lot of will to change things around, to fight for the things that you love and fight for the ones that we want to protect. But eventually they would soon realize why the threat of Kang the Conqueror was something that Janet Pym didn't want to tell anybody throughout her entire adventure in the Quantumverse. Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania does have something really great going for it, but unfortunately it takes a very long time to get there. There are so many scenes that just are dragged out before we actually get into anything, halfway decent in this film compared to the films that came out before this, such as Shang-Chi and Spider-Man No Way Home. This feat, and especially Black Panther Wakanda Forever, this film feels like it's trying to really stretch out its limits by trying to tell a story, but unfortunately, it's not a very contained story because very quickly within this film, we are introduced into the quantum verse relatively 15 minutes into this film, and that feels really, really short, especially for a Marvel movie to get introduced to something this damn fast. I mean, especially in other films like Black Panther Wakanda Forever, we are introduced to Namor, but not too quickly into this film, but you do hear, rumors about them because they're trying to set up on why Namor is such a great villain. And I will get to Kang the Conqueror, played by Jonathan Majors, in due time here. But I do have to say that for the film standard, I really do like that they're trying to pinpoint something that Hank Pym is. A lot of people, I think, were very upset that Hank Pym wasn't being the hero that they expected him to be, especially from the Ant-Man films that came before this one and also the Avengers films. But keep in mind of one thing, that Hank Pym, deep down inside, Hank Pym is still a father. He has his adorable daughter, Cassie. Hank Pym is a superhero, that I can guarantee you, but Hank is also a father. That's the type of term that a lot of hero fans have to relate with, is that he is a father above everything else. And if you recall, Hank had been away from his daughter for way too long in the film's continuity, and in fact, he wants to catch up and get back into her life. It's kind of unfortunate that in order to do that, they have to basically become a superhero family like the Incredibles and face off against a massive threat that awaits them further on in the movie. I'm not trying to say that I'm right, and I'm not trying to pick at the other critics that did criticize this movie. I'm just trying to say that maybe that they have missed the big picture that Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd, is trying really hard to get back into a daughter's life, and you do feel that. And I really do think that some parents that are watching this, some parents that are always away from family, or even like veterans, even or military people, that they do feel that way about their own family, is that they're trying to reconnect to their family after they've been away so long, especially sometimes parents that often, yes, are in jail or spend jail time, that are trying to get back into their child's life. And that is something that's very great that this movie is trying to do, trying to relate to people that are in this way. Now, keep in mind that Marvel has always been set in the real world, so oftentimes they want to connect to the real world as much as possible. And I think doing this with Ant-Man, trying to make him be like, I just want to settle down from life, everything that has happened, and I just want to be a father. But unfortunately, things just get screwed up along the way. I also do like that Janet is in this film as well. Not Janet, but Hope is in this film as well, and that she doesn't have a big screen moments that she had in other films. She feels very minor, like we're focusing on everybody else instead of her, and I think that that's kind of bad because Hope is not a bad character to really focus on. She has her badass moments as well, and I really do like her throughout the majority of this film. It just sucks that she often gets the far end of the stick and that she's not in the film as many times or as much as people probably would like her to be. Hope is present in the film, but unfortunately she just so downgraded into the film that sometimes I forget that she's even in this to begin with, and that's kind of a bummer for a character like this. The same even goes for Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas, two very awesome and great performers that unfortunately aren't in the film as much as they should have been. Especially later on in the movie where we meet Krylar, played by the talented and very amazing Bill Murray, there is not much in this film to really connect him to Janet Pym. And also, just speaking for origin wise, I don't think they did justice to Kane the Conqueror, who should have had much more of a bigger premise and build up in this movie. In superhero movies specifically, you always want to have the great build up into why the villain is such a threat. You want to show your audience just what this hero is going up against. And I don't think that Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania had really built up Kane the Conqueror as much as he should have been. While I admit they try to get as close to the comic as possible with him, and that Kane the Conqueror can be anything. He can be a traveler, he can be a scholar, he can be, like President of the United States. We almost had one of those, didn't we? Oh, Donald, everybody will not stop making fun of you. Especially me. I will always think it's funny. But Kane the Conqueror can be really anything in the realm in reality, and especially, I really do think that once he is premised in the film, like once he is there, once we have the setting stones, Jonathan Majors really pays off into just how much of a threat that Kane the Conqueror can be on film. I mean, once Jonathan Majors is on screen, you really get to feel that Jonathan Majors understands the focus of Kane the Conqueror. And here's the thing, I love Kane the Conqueror as a supervillain. I always wanted to see him in a movie version. It just sucks that it took so long for him to be built up into the comic book continuity, or Marvel continuity, if you would. But Jonathan Majors, in my opinion, is the best thing about this movie. His Kane the Conqueror is very, very well done. If there was one thing that can save this movie, I really do think it's Jonathan Majors' performance as Kane the Conqueror. He pulled it off very well, and he handled the character all his own. Kane the Conqueror is supposed to be this uneven threat. He's supposed to be nasty, maniacal, and deep down a monster, and Jonathan Majors handles that to a T. He even turned more into a monster where he almost killed Cassie right in front of Ant-Man and doesn't even shed one single goddamn tear because that's how much of a monster he is. King the Conqueror is not supposed to be sympathetic. He's not supposed to be easygoing. He's not supposed to be supporting of anybody. He is a monster, and he is definitely a conqueror. He is also one bad motherfucker who knows that he will not quit until he gets the things that he deserves and the things that he wants, especially in this film. I gotta applaud Jonathan Majors very, very well for the way that he handled Kane the Conqueror, and I do really think that Majors made the character all his own, and quite frankly, I was blown away by how monstrous that he was on screen. Like, nothing he did, he gave a flying fuck about, especially when he almost killed Cassie right in front of Scott and was like, see this? See this? I can do this any given day that I feel like. I could kill your daughter right in front of you and just keep doing it over and over and over again. And there's nothing that you can do to me because I'm King the Conqueror, bitch. Like, I can do any fucking thing that I want, and you have no power against me. And you really do feel that, Jonathan Majors is really a goddamn threat in this. And I do like that the suit is very comic accurate, and also the fact that something that I forgot and then went, oh, wait, that's actually true, is that Kane the Conqueror just doesn't have one form. He had several. Like I said, he can be a scholar, he can be an artist, he can be an explorer, he can be any given realm. And I think that the fact that they showed in Kane the Conqueror in this movie to be an explorer was something very, very much of a God give, I would say, is that, you really want him to be an explorer because he's going out and exploring new worlds, and he's like, hey, this world is mine. This is nice. I'm gonna kill everybody and gone. Sort of reminds me a little bit of Invincible with Omni Man, the fact that his entire race kills people and destroys planets is yeah, very much connected to that. But I think that Jonathan Majors was very, very well handled as Kane. If you want me to talk about Modoc, um he's okay. I mean, there are very many moments where I did really appreciate what they did with Modoc, taking Yellow Jacket from the first film, who was Darren, and then bringing him back into the film was very, very much well done. I didn't think that we really needed the big head that Darren had with like a big head mode in a video game. Like, he just suddenly has it now. But I think that if they just kept him in the head shield and didn't reveal it until Darren dies toward the end of the film, I think it would have been okay. But Modoc, in of itself, he's alright for the most part. I really do think that Modoc shouldn't have been in the film in the first place. He's not really as big of a threat as Kane the Conqueror, but he still is in the film because we need a subside villain, I guess. He's okay, but I wouldn't exactly give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's the best thing about this movie. But for the most part, Modoc gets an A in my book. All in all, Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania isn't a bad film, but I will say that it's a specific taste for people that definitely want to get into this movie and see it for the first time. But I will tell you this, that getting into the film takes a lot of courage, and it also takes a lot of patience because once the film starts going, you will not regret that you actually watched this movie. In fact, I was gonna give up on this movie and say that it was the worst Marvel film I'd ever watched, but unfortunately that is not true because I actually ended up falling in love with the film for everything that it is. Now, don't get me wrong, this film is not without its flaws, but its flaws come in at so minuscule from time to time that I often forget what the flaws were and just enjoy the movie for a movie. Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania isn't the worst film that I've seen, but it takes a very specific taste in order to get into, but if you're a comic book fan, I really recommend that you give it a worth watching at least once. Because once the superhero acting kicks in, you will not doubt that this is one of the best superhero movies that you've ever seen, and I'm one of those people that can say this is one of the best superhero movies I have seen. As for the ending credit scene, there is not a whole lot that you can really talk about with the end credit because it's just Kane the Conqueror all teaming up with a bunch of Kane the Conquerors. I already know this because I follow Marvel through everything that the next Avengers movie is going to be. Avengers: The Kane Dynasty. But one thing that I have to give Marvel credit for, and something that I'm very excited to see, is that we are eventually going to get a Champions movie, and this makes me very happy. You already have Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, in the Marvel universe, so in the cinematic universe, because she's going to be in the film The Marvels. You have Miles Morales that's going to be set up in the next Spider-Man film, and that's live action one with Tom Holland. We already have Ironheart set up. We need to get Nova set up at some point. Sam Alexander. Eventually, we might get Amadeus Cho maybe in the Captain America, the next Captain America movie, which is going to have the Hulk in it. Maybe we'll get Amadeus Cho to open that. But it really feels like that Marvel is setting up the champions, and I'm hoping that the champions will get their own movie eventually in the future. If you don't know who the champions are, go and look it up. I'm not gonna tell you anything. You need to look this movie up. But I am very excited for this movie. While it does have its flaws, Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania is still an enjoyable movie for me. It just sucks that it just kind of gets more to get into later. Like, you have to wait until, I would say, like the 45-minute mark at best before everything really begins to take off, or the 30-minute mark, actually, before things get to really take off. So, however, I'm going to give Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania the pop rating of 8 out of Bloodstone. While it is not the worst thing that I've seen, and at first it does feel like a shotgun shot to the face, it eventually becomes its own little gem and a diamond in the rough, if I can say so myself. So, what did you guys think about Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania? If you've seen it, do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you agree with me that it's pretty good, but unfortunately it takes too long to get going? Let me know in the comment section down below. If the movie was just a little bit more tied together and didn't start way too quickly and kind of finish way too late, in my opinion, I think that it probably would have been a really substantial film all things together, but it's not the worst thing that I have seen, especially for superhero films. It's not the worst superhero film that I have seen, but it still holds up as a pretty damn good film in my opinion, with some minor tweaks and twerks, just like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. It could have been an awesome superhero film. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me at Twitter with the link in the description down below. I've been Lady Universe, I've been White and Nudie. Keep your on, and I'll see you guys next time.